What you're watching right now is the only known footage of the Squirrel Girl and New Warriors TV pilot. Soon after this, the show would be cancelled, with all footage seemingly being lost. What would follow soon after this would be allegations, a series of deleted tweets, and the fall of an entire Marvel studio. To fully understand this story, let's go back to the beginning and learn some context. 1991, Marvel Superheroes number 8 introduced the character of Doreen Green, aka Squirrel Girl. Marvel Comics writer Will Murray stated that the real inspiration for Squirrel Girl was an old ex-girlfriend, Doreen Greeley.
I had a former girlfriend in the 80s named Doreen who was into animal rescues, and among them squirrels. I would periodically have squirrels in my attic. One of them, who I actually called Monkey Joe for some strange reason, was a little fat squirrel, and I used to feed him peanut butter. He was friendly. Now, Doreen, the real Doreen, used to rescue squirrels. We went to church one day. It was winter, and she was wearing a winter coat, and during the service, she kept it zipped up. And in the middle of the service, she pulled down the zipper, and a baby squirrel had poked out. I had no idea it was there. And I'm looking with, great astonishment at the fact that she's been nursing this squirrel with her body warmth and carrying it around in her coat. Never mentioned it to me. I remember when we were leaving the mass, she stopped and the squirrel drank some of the holy water, which is not a thing squirrels are usually allowed to do. So either I or a friend of mine, when I told that story, coined the term Squirrel Girl. At that point, it was just a nickname for her.
After the comic character's debut, Murray mentioned this to the real-life Doreen, who assumed he was joking. She didn't discover the truth until decades later. Squirrel Girl was meant to be a lighthearted foil for Iron Man in a short story drawn by Spider-Man creator Steve Ditko, who was almost 70 years old at the time. In this same issue, she famously defeated Dr. Doom by throwing a bunch of squirrels at him, including her original sidekick, Monkey Joe. Increasingly, Squirrel Girl could take down impossibly powerful villains for reasons no one could really explain, and that mystery became the joke.
Well, in my script, I gave her this Mary Martin Peter Pan forest outfit. When the pencil pages came in, Steve Ditko had drawn her completely different, and I asked him, why did you do that? He said, well, she should look like what she is. Spider-Man looks like Spider-Man. Squirrel Girl looks like Squirrel Girl. So she's got this outfit that looks like it was rummaged out of her mother's, wardrobe trunk. And I don't know what the fur vest is. I don't know that that's real squirrel fur, or it might be rabbit fur. But, we don't go into those details. So I was not happy with his design, but I understand in retrospect it was appropriate because, if she's dressed up like Robin Hood, that visual doesn't quite match her name and powers. So it's fine. It wasn't long after that. Strange things happened. There was an interview with a Marvel editor now deceased. He talked about Squirrel Girl. He said, we love Squirrel Girl at Marvel, but she's not really a Marvel character. You're not going to see her again. And I thought, these guys are not getting it. Because at that time, there weren't a lot of female readers of any ages.
After that debut, she basically vanished until 2005, where Dan Slott and Paul Pelletier pulled her out of limbo for the Great Lake Avengers. The Great Lake Avengers was a superhero parody built on poking fun at the usual tropes, one of those being the whole comic book death trope, even promising that a team member would die in every single issue. So, when Squirrel Girl pushed to have Monkey Joe officially added to the roster, he was immediately killed off by a fake Dr. Doom. Considering that the Marvel database states his only weakness is, quote, direct pressure to his body, you'd think maybe adding this guy was pretty irresponsible. It also states that he can use computers. Good to know. And rest in peace.
I think 12 years passed, and it looked like Squirrel Girl was dead, but they revived her for Great Lakes Avengers for 4 issues, and she kind of clicked then. And at that point, I pitched another Squirrel Girl thing, and again, they didn't bite. It's funny because in my pitch, I called her the unbeatable Squirrel Girl because she'd already had the reputation of being able to beat people that were otherwise not necessarily beatable by a character of that stature. I was surprised that she didn't catch on back in 1991 and that she was actually suppressed.
But the real turning point came in 2014 with the new comic, The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Writer Ryan North essentially reinvented her, turning her into a very bright, optimistic goofball who absolutely loves her bizarre world. The humor isn't cheap shots or snark, it's sincere. a tone that made Squirrel Girl not just a joke character, but something genuinely special for many readers. Around the same time, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was in full swing, and the idea of bringing Squirrel Girl to the big screen was growing in popularity quick. The storm truly began when actress Anna Kendrick did an interview for publication Net-a-Porter. She explained that she was aiming for roles more truthful to herself, then continuing that superhero characters only work if they're an extension of oneself, using Ryan Reynolds as an example. Although tragically worded, she explained that the first Deadpool film worked so well because, quote, Deadpool was inside of Ryan. Following this, the interviewer asked if any character spoke to her in a similar fashion. Anna stated, "My brother sent me a Squirrel Girl comic because he thinks I should play her. I don't know what Squirrel Girl does other than be half squirrel, but I could be half squirrel." It's worth noting, she is not half squirrel. This interview opened the floodgates, not only for Anna Kendrick herself, but for other actresses. Soon after the interview, Shannon Purser, also known as Barb from Stranger Things, sent out a later deleted tweet. "So, who do I talk to about being Squirrel Girl?" A few weeks later, she made her intentions even clearer in an interview with online magazine Revelist. "I think Squirrel Girl is just adorable, but at the same time, totally boss and completely awesome." Although endearing, Purser's comments would be unsuccessful. Articles popped up left and right proclaiming that Anna Kendrick would be perfect for the character. Fan art flooded timelines, and a campaign was underway to get the Squirrel Girl movie made. At the time, it seemed like a perfect match. Amazingly, Edgar Wright, the original director of Marvel's Ant-Man, but that's a whole nother video, voiced his support on Twitter. "Get Anna Kendrick a Squirrel Girl film." Edgar Wright was once lined up to bring Ant-Man to life, a plan that simmered down for years behind the scenes. Then, just a few months before cameras were supposed to roll, he suddenly walked away over creative differences. Still, his fingerprints linger on the film. You'll even notice his name is still tucked into the screenplay credits. Edgar Wright then dropped a flex on Twitter, pointing out how many Scott Pilgrim vs. the World alumni ended up playing major comic book icons. He wanted Anna Kendrick to continue that list and take the reins of a Squirrel Girl film. At the time, the fire kept blazing as more influential individuals began to take notice. Joe Russo, one of the brothers behind Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Captain America: Civil War, chimed in when talking to Yahoo Movies. "It would be perfect casting, and we're huge Anna Kendrick fans." This is the comment that really blew it up. Civil War was a huge success, and rumors spread that the Russo brothers had suggested Marvel was planning on including some of the Great Lake Avengers in the upcoming Spider-Man: Homecoming, which of course is the immediate follow-up to their own film, Civil War. Although we'll get to the validity of those comments, it wasn't completely without merit. The Russos have mentioned the Great Lake Avengers a shocking amount of times. In an interview with Business Insider, "Is there a character you'd like to see in the MCU? Nobody's done the Great Lake Avengers yet. They're still out there." In an interview with Tech Radar, the Russo brothers were asked whether or not they'd make a Marvel TV show for Disney+. "We love long-form storytelling. That's why television has always appealed to us. So yes, we have a passion for TV shows and we love Marvel, but we don't have any plans to do anything with them. Whatever we say, we're going to get asked about it 100 times. So let's pick the Great Lake Avengers." These mentions should be taken lightly. After countless interviews, the Russos have been known to have fun with their answers. For example, after an opening day viewing of Avengers: Infinity War, Joe Russo talked about the next character he'd like to introduce to the MCU. Joe revealed to a reportedly mild crowd, "Gru the Wanderer. Anybody? Anybody? We have comic book collectors here, right?" The full video has since been deleted. Remember, this all started because of a rumor that the Russos had mentioned that a Great Lake Avengers character would show up in Spider-Man: Homecoming. There's no doubt they had sway in the studio, but eagle-eyed viewers may know that the Russos didn't direct Homecoming, even if Tom Holland's Spider-Man debuted in their film. As far as I can tell, the earliest mention of this rumor is an article published in August of 2016, with no reported source. Considering that no Great Lake Avengers characters ended up in the film, it's safe to say the rumors were false. And if there ever was a similar comment, it was probably made in jest. The sheer amount of articles written on the topic seemingly had no validity. It was all based on random tweets that essentially held no sway. Many people believed that the internet was being the internet, and things were being blown out of proportion. But unexpectedly, on the night of August 30th, 2016, the website TV Line revealed that they had a credible source claiming Marvel and ABC Studios were developing a New Warriors comedy series with Squirrel Girl as the main character. They reported that the series was, quote, being shopped around to cable and streaming outlets. Although this was a 30-minute comedy series instead of a long-rumored film, it all seemed to be lining up. Curiously, in the comics, the New Warriors have never featured Squirrel Girl. So although out of left field, this seemed to be the closest the world would get to a Great Lake Avengers adaptation. Many were hesitant on whether or not to believe these articles, but they would soon be proven wrong. It was real. Anna Kendrick's name was amplified. She was, without a doubt, the frontrunner in many fans' minds for the role of Squirrel Girl. Fans waited with bated breath for a casting announcement. If you were around at the time, you would remember it was borderline set in stone. Anna Kendrick never commented on the explosion of rumors until a later video.
It is Anna Kendrick.
Great. Squirrel Girl. Okay.
What does that mean?
One person asked me if I would ever be a superhero, and my brother had sent me the Squirrel Girl comics, and I said, oh yeah, I'd like to be Squirrel Girl, because I assumed that would be one of those answers that just like goes away instead of saying something that becomes clickbait. Yeah. Boy, was I wrong.
I didn't know that was actually a thing.
Yeah, then it was like, Anna Kendrick for Squirrel Girl, and I was like, I appreciate the effort, but I didn't need you guys to start a whole campaign.
Anna Kendrick did not end up playing Squirrel Girl in any capacity. The part became open as the rumors of the show were finally confirmed by Marvel themselves. The network, Freeform, commissioned a pilot with aim for 10 30-minute episodes to premiere in winter of 2018. New Warriors would mark the second Marvel TV show to launch on Freeform, alongside Cloak and Dagger. It was stated at the time that the pitch was met with, quote, notable competition from other outlets, not just Freeform, which makes some later revelations in this video even more curious. When it came to casting, one of the more notable quotes came from Freeform's executive president of programming, Carrie Burke. When asked about Anna Kendrick and Shannon Purser competing for the role, she said, "Those names have come up. This network has made a lot of stars, and we're in a unique position with Squirrel Girl and Marvel. I'm interested to see if name actresses feel right for it." This quite clearly alludes to the idea that they wanted lesser-known actresses for the role. Anna Kendrick does not fit this criteria, finally squashing rumors that she was ever seriously considered. With Kendrick out, a new name entered the ring. Actress Mae Whitman, known for The Perks of Being a Wallflower, The Duff, and, coincidentally, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Whitman took to Twitter hours after the New Warriors series was announced. "Wah, I want to be Squirrel Girl. Wah. Hashtag whine, hashtag want, hashtag squirrel." Years later, it was revealed that Whitman was actually the frontrunner and that the script had been written with her in mind. Whether it was the tweet that did that, we'll never know, but I personally hope so. Unfortunately, due to her commitments to the TV show Good Girls, Whitman could not star as Squirrel Girl, and her time was cut short.
Say that again?
New Warriors was listed as premiering with an official description that reads, "Marvel's New Warriors is about 6 young people with powers living and working together. With powers and abilities on the opposite end of the spectrum from the Avengers, the New Warriors want to make a difference in the world, even if the world isn't ready. Not quite super, not yet heroes. New Warriors is about that time in your life when you first enter adulthood and feel like you can do everything and nothing at once. Except in this world, bad guys can be as terrifying as bad dates." Kevin Beagle, a Scrubs writing alum who went on to co-create the show Cougar Town, would serve as showrunner. Beagle was a self-proclaimed Squirrel Girl superfan. Beagle's name will become very relevant very quickly here. Carrie Burke expressed her excitement. "When he came in and pitched it, he understood her importance in the world. We had chased Squirrel Girl before, and Marvel had said they would let us know when they were ready to do something with it. Our head of development wore her Squirrel Girl hat in the pitch, which may have put us over the top." Work began on the New Warriors script. Actors flew in for auditions. Finally, on July 10th, 2017.
Exciting news, Marvel fans. The New Warriors cast has been revealed exclusively to The Hollywood Reporter. After an extensive casting search, This Is Us actress Milana Weintraub has landed the breakout role of Squirrel Girl, and baby daddy actor Derek Thieler will play the male lead, Mr. Immortal. Weintraub, who you may recognize from her recurring role as Kevin's Broadway co-star Sloane on NBC's This Is Us, will take on Doreen Green, aka Squirrel Girl.
That same day, showrunner Kevin Beagle stated, I am thrilled beyond belief to be working with this incredible group of actors. It'll be a blast and an honor to create the show with each of them. Freeform would pull the plug on the show only 4 months later. As mentioned, the other Marvel show airing at the time, Cloak and Dagger, would go on to be a hit and fan favorite. Season 1 of Cloak and Dagger was actually the second most watched show on the channel at the time. When viewers speculated the shows might cross over in a typical MCU fashion, Carrie Burke said the two properties were, quote, not particularly connected. It was presumed that the show would connect to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a similar vein to Netflix's Daredevil and Jessica Jones. Small references here and there, but largely separate. As the pilot began shooting, the full cast was revealed. Doreen Green, aka Squirrel Girl, would be played by Milana Weintraub. Mr. Immortal would be played by Derek Theller. Night Thrasher, Jeremy Tardy. Speedball would be Callum Worthy. Microbe would be Matthew Moy. And Debris would be Kate Comer. The two prevailing main characters would be revealed as Mr. Immortal and Squirrel Girl. You may recognize Milana Weintraub from those AT&T commercials and the TV show This Is Us. Now, before we go forward, it needs to be mentioned that Matthew Moy as Microbe would be of particular note due to a video released by actor and YouTuber ProZD years later.
Basically 5 years ago, I got an email from a casting director asking me if I would be interested in auditioning for the then in development Squirrel Girl New Warriors TV show. The character I was asked to audition for was Microbe. I was told that I was going to be flying out to do the test in front of executives, but a lot of the actors for a lot of the parts were there, including some of the actors who were going for my part. It was a weird atmosphere. And New Warriors was slated to be a full season run, and I had to get a entertainment lawyer to navigate the terrifying contract. And so yeah, when I got home and went and found out there was only one other guy and me, I was like, oh shit, I guess here we go. And then some time passes, and then I get a text from the casting director saying they thought you were really funny, but because they were casting a taller actress, they thought it'd be funnier to go with the shorter actor. So I guess officially I'm too tall for Marvel. Of course, not to diminish the talent of the other actor who I am familiar with, and even though New Warriors was supposed to be a full season, and in the end I kind of dodged a bullet. If I had gotten the job, the contract would have actually limited me from a lot of stuff.
Filming of the pilot began in late 2017, and this is where things start to get vague. Fans were left wondering what happened as the show essentially went dark. Marvel wasn't promoting it, and no updates surfaced. Although the pilot was reportedly going well, drama began to unfold upstream in the studio. In November 2017, The Hollywood Reporter revealed that the Marvel's New Warriors wouldn't air on Freeform and would instead be shopped elsewhere. Considering Cloak and Dagger was still moving along smoothly, this report was questionable and worrying. Production was halted after the pilot as New Warriors seemed to have no buyer. The idea of another Marvel series finding a buyer wasn't impossible. As time passed, the prevailing rumor was that Disney's upcoming streaming service, Disney Plus, would greenlight the show, although insiders said it was, quote, a long shot. Backed up by Kevin Beagle himself, every source states that the pilot was reportedly testing incredibly well. So, what happened? Before we answer that, it's important to know who was in charge at the time. From 2010 to 2019, Marvel TV was led by Jeff Loeb. You may recognize his name from the absolute banger comics like Batman Hush, Batman The Long Halloween, Daredevil Yellow, and Spider-Man Blue. He also oversaw notable successes like Netflix's Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, with that being said, you have to understand the vibes at the time of Marvel TV when the New Warriors pilot was ordered. The late 2010s at Marvel TV was defined by notable flops. The Iron Fist TV show and the disaster that is the Inhumans show soured people's moods and raised many questions on whether or not this should continue. If you were around at the time and in forums like I was, this was a rough time for Marvel TV. Moreover, a couple reports spread of Loeb's alleged poor behavior behind the scenes. Keep in mind, some of these comments will be refuted by key players within the story. Peter Shinkota, who played Nobu in Daredevil, made headlines when he spoke about alleged wrongdoing in production. Nobu appeared in Daredevil's first season as a prominent villain before dying in a freak accident. He then reappeared in Season 2 with no real character development. Shinkoda stated on a podcast, "Jeff Loeb told the writers' room not to write for Nobu. This was reiterated many times by many of the writers and showrunners. That, quote, nobody cares about Chinese people and Asian people, end quote. There were 3 previous Marvel movies, a trilogy called Blade, where Wesley Snipes kills 200 Asians each movie. Nobody gives a shit. So don't write about Nobu." And they were forced to put their storyline down and drop it. The impact and validity of these comments are up to you, but this period would prove to be Jeff Loeb's final months with Marvel TV. Winter 2018 came and went, with no new Warriors TV show, no buyer, and no announcement on Disney+. The show was effectively in development hell. Soon after, Loeb announced his departure, while Kevin Feige was promoted to Marvel Entertainment's Chief Creative Officer, giving him control over movies, comics, and TV. At the time, it was reported that at least one of Loeb's shows, Hulu's Ghost Rider, was cancelled. This put huge question marks over every other project still in the works. It seemed to be the first of many. Squirrel Girl and the New Warriors were nowhere to be seen, and fans were noticing. Deadline then reported that a significant portion of staff under Marvel Television had been laid off. Just like that, the brand that created Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Cloak and Dagger, and so much more was shuttered. It was announced that only a handful of projects would survive the shift to Disney+. Shows like WandaVision and Loki were announced to ecstatic fanfare, but notably, New Warriors was missing from the list. Filmed only a year earlier, the cast and crew of New Warriors were left in a vague and confusing situation with seemingly no hope. What would follow would be an aftermath of deleted tweets, leaked photos, and a show lost to time. The little we know about it comes from those within the production themselves who have chosen to speak on it. For all intents and purposes, the pilot, along with the script, is lost media. The night of September 9th, 2021 was normal for many, but for New Warriors showrunner Kevin Beagle, it was just getting started. It all began with a single tweet. "Feelin' frisky, may do something uncouth." Only minutes later, he would follow it up with a tweet that blew everything up. "There's a show we wrote a few years ago. It was very proudly gay. A singular power killed the show because it was too gay. A rich, straight Brentwood turd. He got fired for being vile at his company. We, on the other hand, live. Hashtag New Warriors." Suddenly, these tweets started to gain some traction. For fans who hadn't heard a thing about the show until now, this was gold, and it was coming straight from the man himself. A couple hours later, he continued. "It would have meant the world to us too. Sadly, we didn't get to share it with you. If this was a the show was crap situation, I'd totally shut up and never speak. Unfortunately, this was a high-level executive with an agenda situation. He got fired. I still miss our show." These heartfelt and tragic statements would continue. In his tweet, he shared the only known snippet of the screenplay. In this, the black character Debris states, "As far as I can tell, I'm the only one like me. Black, queer, powered. When I was a kid, I didn't have anyone like me to look up to tell me that things were going to be okay. Maybe I can be that person for some little girl out there." With this snippet, Beagle writes, "I have nights where I can't fall asleep because I get so mad we couldn't have characters say stuff like this. Because of one executive who thought we were making a show that was messy. Sorry, not sorry. New Warriors would have been really great. I wish we could have given it to y'all." Only 4 minutes later, in what can be assumed was a response to those saying, "Hey man, don't do this, Mickey Mouse is gonna snipe you," he continued, "F*** it. I'm not deleting shit. I love our characters. I love Marvel. I love the New Warriors in all their forms. This show would have made the world better, even a little bit. Thanks for following all my BS posts. We love you." Soon after, Beagle would delete every tweet. Even though this seems like a lot of info already, this was just the beginning. Beagle would continue. "I love our show. I love our cast. I love that our show says, all outcast and weirdos welcome. The world is terrifying right now. I'd rather share our joy than be too scared to share it. Doing the right thing in the face of criticism is what the New Warriors are all about." After a flurry of messages from supporters and curious individuals, he continued. "Thank you for the kind words about our New Warriors show. It would have been totally different than any other superhero show ever. And to be clear, yeah, We got killed by one executive. Him. Good night. Although he said goodnight, the tweets were far from over. He shared countless photos from the set, including the practical Squirrel Girl costume, which features a huge, comic-accurate prosthetic tail and small squirrel ears. Squirrel Girl and Mr. Immortal. Did we take cues from the Great Lake Avengers? We took a ton of cues from the Great Lake Avengers. In came many cast photos, including one featuring a bar with the name dedicated to Deadpool creator Fabian Nicieza. In every photo, the cast is having fun, chilling out, and one even features Gal Gadot for some reason. Haven't quite figured out why she would be here. The set photos, especially those of Milana Weintraub as Squirrel Girl, were met with incredible responses. Her casting was already well liked, but the passion she seemed to have in this role is certainly visible, even in static photos. As the night grew on, more photos and even videos were released. My personal favorite is the puppeted squirrel sidekick, Tippy Toe, who would not be CGI, but actual crew members controlling him. Beagle commented, "The folks who worked with Tippy were geniuses. Tippy was probably the second biggest star of the show. Like a total dick, but too sweet and loving to some people. But clearly, squirrels can't be friends to people, is a real thing people say. At least that one executive said that." He then posted some set footage shot from his own phone. After that, we got the only known footage to exist of the pilot that hasn't been lost. It's a recording of a laptop with children watching a clip. It's captioned, "Well, in the very least, I got to make our kids proud." It seems to be shot almost like a sitcom, with various crash zooms and handheld cameras in the same vein as Parks and Rec and The Office, notably very popular on cable at the time. Soon after the tweets began to gain attention, Squirrel Girl herself, Milana Weintraub, even stepped in, implying that some public pressure was needed to revive the show. One curious detail is actor Keith David. It was revealed in a tweet what his role would be. "I just got sad talking to a friend because I remembered we had a seasons-long plan on our New Warriors show to turn Keith David's character into MODOK. Just shut your eyes and imagine Keith David saying MODOK and then laughing. Oh my god, it still gives me goosebumps." How they were going to pull that off with a smaller budget, I have no idea. Hell, I've seen MODOK with a cinematic budget and it scarred me for life. There's no doubt there's real love here in the production. The whole cast seems completely on board with the wackiness. Whatever you see from these photos, I see a group of people who genuinely care. When asked why he's sharing this all now, Beagle replied, "I was very hesitant to share anything about our show, until I saw the interview with the fellow at a network who decried a dearth of talent. Talent isn't people who party with you in Brentwood. The fire's been lit. Now you got a deal." I have been unable to locate the interview he seemingly watched, but let me know if you have any ideas or theories in the comments. Beagle seems to have blamed the cancellation of the show and indefinite hiatus to those above him on the corporate ladder. The internet was flooded with reports on these tweets as each and every single one was deleted. What truly got people talking was the tweet that New Warriors was cancelled because it was, quote, too gay. And cast members not pushing back on this implies validity. Soon after this gained traction, a Marvel spokesperson denied these claims, stating that the company was fully supportive of the show and that after Freeform and other distributors passed, the project did not move forward. No other details were ever released officially by Marvel. It's hard not to notice that the idea of a show being cancelled because of one unhappy higher-up is continually mentioned. Not only that, but the fact that they live in Brentwood was brought up twice. Every forum and commenter began to theorize. The immediate candidate mentioned was Marvel TV's Jeff Loeb. For many, the actions of his alleged wrongdoing in the past on sets was evidence enough. This was shattered when Beagle tweeted in response, "No, Loeb was a wonderful man who championed the show. Do not disparage his name. He worked tirelessly to get this on air. He supported all of our big, weird ideas. I love Jeff." The other prevailing theory was former chairman and CEO of Marvel Entertainment, Ike Perlmutter, who had oversight of the Marvel TV division at the time. Previously, Ike Perlmutter had a series of damning stories come out about him. A Financial Times story reported that when black actor Terrence Howard was replaced with black actor Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2, Perlmutter allegedly said no one would notice because black people, quote, look the same. Many articles and videos are dedicated to Perlmutter's time at Marvel, so I suggest you look into those if you're interested. Anyway, many push back on the theory that Perlmutter was behind the cancellation of New Warriors with the simple explanation that, well, he doesn't live in Brentwood. And whoever this was seemed very specific. The generally accepted theory at this point is this executive was someone within Freeform themselves, but that doesn't explain how the show was not able to be picked up by other broadcasters at the time, especially considering the pilot tested, quote, through the roof, and the pitch was met with, quote, notable competition. But maybe those comments were an exaggeration to keep vibes high. Unless Kevin Beagle clarifies exactly who he's talking about, which I doubt he will, we may never know. Kevin Beagle has not commented further on the New Warriors cancellation. His Twitter has been deleted and wiped, and screenshots are sparse. I personally loved the info he shared and would enjoy seeing more, but I understand it's a complicated situation. I reached out to Kevin Beagle for any comments on this video, but have not received anything back. I'll update the video in the comments or on my own Twitter page if I have the privilege to speak with him. Like I mentioned before, Milana Weintraub as Squirrel Girl seemed to be a huge standout. I genuinely cannot find a comment that is negative about the casting choice. In late 2024, she was announced as the voice of Squirrel Girl in the hero shooter Marvel Rivals.
OMG, aren't you the cutest little thing ever? Get over here! You should totally join my squad. Wait, quick question. You don't eat squirrel, do you?
During this time, she was asked about the canceled TV show and gave her only known reaction to the whole ordeal.
There was a pilot going around that was going to be for Freeform. It was going to be a 10-episode pickup. We shot the pilot, had the best time with the best cast. Like we still all text. This is like 8 years later, we're still all texting each other. We got deeply invested in it because we knew that there was going to be 9 more episodes, and then we kept waiting to hear when the 9 more episodes were going to go, and we heard that the pilot tested really well and that everyone loved it. For sure, I heard that, Disney had merged with ABC and Freeform, and that there were certain people let go during that time and different decisions were being made. And so that show left along with, probably fell through the cracks of many other things that left during that time. There was a hard grief for the whole cast with that because we really loved the show, and Kevin Beagle, who created it, is a genius and one of the kindest people I've ever worked with. I guess dusted ourselves off, and then I was so happy to be called back to do the voice for Squirrel Girl and the podcast and the cartoon and the games because I love being Doreen Green. She's just like the most fun person to embody.
The story of New Warriors isn't just about a canceled or lost pilot. It's about a cast and crew who believed deeply in what they were creating, only to watch it disappear before it ever had a chance to live. Whether the truth behind the cancellation is ever made public or stays buried in corporate silence, the passion the team poured into this project is undeniable. Maybe one day the truth will come out, but until then, we only have fragments of what could have been. If more info ever surfaces, or you think I've missed anything, I'll update it in the comments as well as my Twitter. I'm really interested to see how you guys interpret this story, so if you made it to this point in the video, tell me what your take is in the comments. And of course, thank you for subscribing to Cutshort, and thank you for watching.